Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Two Shot Tuesday, but it's not just another episode. My name is Jason Riley. With me, as always, Barry T. Nixon, and as often, we've got the movie guy, Rob Peets, so you know something special is happening. How are you doing, Rob?
Yeah, pretty good. We went and saw a movie, so that's why I'm here. I'm here because we saw a movie.
Fantastic.
And not just any movie, but we're going to get into that.
We'll get into that. Barry, how are you doing? This is the pleasantries portion of our show.
Yeah, I'm doing quite well, Jay, and thank you for having me back week after week.
Happy to have you here. I do have some exciting
it's a pleasure,
news.
Truly.
I have some news I want to share at some point in the episode, not related to the movie, but only because it's one of those, you think everyday things that, I don't know, has ever happened to me before. So I'll just leave it there, and we'll get to that whenever you want, either to kick off or at the end. But first, we have a format on this show, and that is 2 shots of anything you'd like. Rob, what are you starting out with tonight?
Well, because we went and saw a movie, and the movie involved rabies, I'm gonna take a shot of rabies vaccine, just directly into the mouth.
Good.
Very smart. Very
All right.
wise.
Barry, what have you got?
I got some whiskey.
What kind?
Some good whiskey. It's the 12-year Bush Mills, my friend.
One of your favorites. And
Yeah.
I don't want to miss a moment of this movie. You'll explain what it is after we do our shot. So I'm keeping a sober show. I'm going to have some nice PC spring water with some orange squeezy in there, some Kool-Aid squeezy.
Right on.
Gentlemen,
Cheers.
cheers.
Chin chin. That is bitter.
But you won't get rabies, unlike who? You're going to tell us. Barry, why don't you kick us off? What did you see this recently?
We saw Primate, and at the time of this recording, it is still in theaters. However, by the time our audience consumes this episode, it may well be on demand.
Okay.
Now, that's not really a shot at the movie, because I actually had a good time. Rob has a different take, and that's part of why we love having him. We are truly the yin and the yang of almost every film that we've ever gone to see together in the theaters. But this is basically an update of the Cujo story. But instead of a St. Bernard run amok, we now have a once friendly house ape run amok.
A chimp. A
Okay.
chimp named Ben.
Named Ben.
Yeah.
Ben. Okay.
Yeah.
Ben the chimp. And he starts off sweet as pie, but it doesn't take very long, right, Rob? Probably about, 90 seconds, because, there's a pretty gruesome death that starts right away. And then we kind of catch up. Well, it's more of a backtrack. We kind of flash in the past 12 hours to the lead up of this. But Rob, what was your impression of it? At least the beginning portion.
Yeah, I mean, so the movie starts actually with like a readout saying like chimps can actually get rabies. So I'm like, okay, so you're telling us that the chimp has rabies. So now we know, we don't have to think. We can just go into the movie and just know that the chimp is going to get rabies. Okay. So I thought that was a bit silly. Because I'll tell you why, as the movie progressed, I started to realize that this might have been a 2-hour movie that they cut down to an hour and a half. And in doing so, they removed the whole, he's got rabies plot line, because there was a couple of moments in the movie where, I don't want to get into but the father is like, sends a sample of the mongoose that bit the chimp.
Great.
To get it tested. And he gets a call saying that, or gets a text saying that it might be rabies or something. But that's well into the movie. That's well into it. And by that point, one of the teenagers has already said, it's got rabies. So like, I just feel like they were at some point, like they could have exposed it over time and let us figure out that it was rabies instead, or make it a little mystical to get to the rabies part, but they didn't. They just gave you rabies and off we go.
I just want to jump in real quick. Jay, you laughed at the mongoose. The story takes place in Hawaii, so we can assume that mongooses, they live in Hawaii.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. So it's not, Oakville, Ontario. It's Hawaii.
And they can also get rabies. Did they specify that at the beginning of the movie?
I believe mongoose can actually get rabies. I don't think, because they don't want to tell you that the mongoose got rabies first.
That would be great.
But
every time it came up, they were like, chimps can get rabies, mongoose can get rabies, humans can get rabies.
Well, they defined rabies, too, as a madness disease that any creature infected, the mere sight of water sends them into a rage.
Is that true?
That's what the movie started with. I don't remember it saying
I'm not sure
that it
about
had
the whole
rabies.
water.
Yeah, it said anytime it looks at water, it goes crazy. And as the movie goes on, Ben, every time he goes to this beautiful pool, he goes nuts every time he sees the water.
But is that
Well,
a
he
true
can't-
symptom of rabies? Like
I don't-
Cujo
It said
didn't
that at the
have
beginning
that.
of the film. That was,
I believe
that was
it.
the text at the beginning
Yeah.
of the movie that Rob alluded to.
And you didn't look that up, Barry. You didn't want to. You weren't like, I need to go deeper. I want to know
was
if
all
that's
bought
true
in.
in the world.
I was
You bought
completely
in.
bought in. I was like, what? Yeah, that sounds
I
right.
thought the
That
idea was
ties
that
up.
was that Ben, the chimps don't really swim. I thought that was the reason he was hanging around the pool, is because he
Well,
wanted to get in and kill the people
both.
that were hiding in the pool. That
Yeah,
were
he
in
did
the
want
pool
to,
because
but he can't
can't
swim, and he also has rabies, and he can't look at
Right.
water without going nuts.
So,
So it's
anyway,
a two-pronged thing.
so
the
Ben
plot
See
was
where the
very-
confusion lies.
the plot
I'm
was very
excited.
complex.
Yeah, it was heavy.
So
So many
Ben-
ins, so many outs.
it sounds like Ben targeted people. Was Ben targeting people at the
So-
pool? You said. I'm curious.
Yeah,
how,
but
how this
so Ben,
worked.
basically the basic premise is that Ben is the family pet, right? Kind of is like a
Mhm.
they're like
Hyper
biologists and
intelligent, though. He's a hyper intelligent.
zoologists and stuff.
or
That's what the
chimp.
family is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of have a pet chimp, and he has his own enclosure and stuff. But yes, he gets bitten by a mongoose and goes nuts. Just as one of the daughters has come back
Doesn't.
from
Very
Timing couldn't be
aggravating.
more perfect. Yeah, it's
From living
perfect
in
timing.
the U.S. proper. I don't know, whatever. And
Yeah.
so she comes back, and that's when it all kind of breaks down. And the first thing they do is get into the water by the pool once they figure out this is what's happening, because chimps can't swim. So get in the water, he can't attack us. And that's where they stay for a large chunk of the movie, where, and they sometimes will get out to try to like get a phone or do various things, right? So
Yeah.
that's really the movie, is watching that all take place, and
Yeah,
people
it's all one location. It's all like
Yeah.
this beautiful house on a cliffside on the big island of Hawaii.
almost
said-
surrealistically so. Like, I'm not sure that
Yeah.
that place could even really exist, but yeah.
Well,
I
it
sense
could
it-
if you were a billionaire, I think. I mean, that pool alone, like it was like
Maybe. It
carved
was
into the cliff
It was an
face,
infinity
it's-
pool on the edge
Yeah.
of like a Hitchcockian style cliff
Yeah.
edge. It was a bit
Yeah.
over the top.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I sense at
Maybe it's
some
on
point,
Airbnb. We should look it up.
I sense at some point in this movie, the movie lost both of you. So at what point did you find yourself drawn out of this movie? I could just sense it from the way you're describing it. It's a 90-minute runtime. What about
90
when
minutes.
about-
Nice and lean.
That was
When, Rob,
that
did
was
you
the big
dip
win
out?
for me. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't dipped out. It
Okay.
was enough to hold my attention, but mostly to see if it was going to do all the things I thought it was going to do, which is just do a basic classic horror movie plot line where the teenagers, quote unquote, get picked off one by one until there's one or two survivors left. And that's
Okay.
exactly what happened. So there was no humor
Barry?
in it. There was no cocaine
No
bear. There
humor.
was nothing like
Damn.
that.
How
Yeah,
could you not-
that's true. There was no humor, but there was a deaf father, which both Rob and I were wondering why they made that choice to make the dad, the guy who built the enclosure. He's sort of a famous dude. He's getting his story turned into a movie. That's all we really know about him. And then he can't hear. And so I don't know why they chose to do that, Rob. You and
Well,
I
the-
were talking about that on the way home. It was like,
Yeah,
why did they
I
wanna
knew
make him
I knew that it was a
deaf
plot
lead?
device.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
I
they use
realized.
it?
I
No?
realized pretty. Yeah, they did at the end. I realized it was a plot device. The plot device is that he's the guy that finally gets home because he figures out kind of what might be going on.
Yeah.
Because he's the
yeah.
one that's sending the texts about the rabies, and he's the one that sent the mongoose off, right? While he's on his book tour.
Yeah, he's on
So
a book
he-
tour, though. He's at a Barnes and Noble.
What is
and
happening
he's got
in
a,
this movie?
He's got a lineup full
Yeah,
of
it's-
people, and
It's
they're
just the
talking to him, and he
it's
can't hear
not-
him.
I think there was more to this movie that they kind of cut out, but he
That's
ends
a good
up like,
point. There probably
yeah,
was.
he ends up
Because
he ends
chimps
up
use
coming
sign
back.
language, not all, but some.
Yeah, this
So
chimp
they-
does.
Yeah.
So there you go. So there was some of that.
Yeah,
But
but it dropped it very
doesn't matter.
quickly because the chimp became like a crazy. I'm a chimp. Want to kill now? Yeah,
Nice.
so it wasn't doing much signing after a kill or two,
Well,
Yeah,
Let's-
it's true. It gave up on trying to communicate. It just felt it would show its love through throwing boulders at you or trying to rip your face off.
nice.
And there was lots of that. There was one scene where a guy's jaw was removed. The chimp pulled the jaw apart and then tried to eat it.
That's
which,
funny.
Yeah, I don't know if it was
Yeah.
funny.
Hey,
I had to look
I mean-
away. It was kind of gross.
let's look towards shot number 2, because I think
Let's
that's
do
what we
it.
need to do so we can continue to understand this movie and break it apart and see if it's going to be an instant cinema classic. Barry, what have you got for shot number 2?
I'm sticking with the whiskey here, Jay.
Rob?
Bushmills 12-year.
Just more of this.
Me too. Cheers.
Cheers.
That was less bitter. I think I'm getting used to it.
Yeah. Second dose. That's important. Now you're safe from rabies. I don't know even what questions to ask about this. I can Like this seems like a movie that would be perfect for comedy. Like, why not put
Yeah.
some
It
jokes in it?
does
Why
feel
play it
like they're
straight up?
well. Let's just talk about this for a second. The chimp itself is not CG. It's a fully
Well, that's
practical
nice.
effect. It is nice. However, to me, it was just a little guy in a chimp costume the whole time. So there was nothing scary about that to me. I just pictured a small person in a chimp costume. The head was way too big for a chimp head. It just
Oh, that's too
didn't look
bad. I
like
thought it was a real chimp
it
in
had like a
most
bunch
scenes.
of radio controlled stuff inside. So the head's bigger than it should be. It's not a terrible effect, but when you're next to like fairly petite female characters, there's a lot of women in this movie. It looked a little big to me. It looked a little larger than like I had a big noggin. You know what I mean? So it kind of
Yeah.
took me out of it. I just kind of watched it from that perspective. About just so you know about those, I was going to mention this about the deaf father thing. That does come back because he's the one that comes home, and because he can't hear what's going. He can see things, but he can't hear the ape coming at him. He can't hear the girl screaming at him and all that stuff. So that's the plot device. That was it. The whole time he's deaf,
Yeah.
so that at the end he can come back and not really understand exactly what's going on right away.
Except he
it.
looks like his house has been trashed, and
Yeah.
if that
He thinks
doesn't
they've just
indicate,
been
he walks
partying.
in. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, he's partying. There's a smashed flat screen on the wall. This is a
Look, a
table
jaw
turned over
on the
There's
ground.
yeah, there's a part of a jaw. Oh, it's just the girls being girls, and they pick up these guys on the plane at the beginning of the movie. They show up, of course, and they
Oh,
get
and they're the
picked off.
dumbest. They're the classic dumb guys, just the stupidest
Yeah.
guys.
Very dumb.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it had no humor in it. It was pretty played pretty straight. Couple of like goofy with the goofball guys. They were supposed to be kind of comedy relief, but they weren't that funny.
No, they
Stuff
weren't.
You've seen, yeah.
No, they weren't. But there was one scene that was very much a kind of homage, at least that's how I felt, to Cujo. There's a scene where the
Yes.
girl like tries to seek refuge inside of a car.
Good.
And that doesn't go very well because
Good.
the chimp has the key fob, and is able to unlock the doors. And
Very
not only
nice.
that, but also pop open the trunk and have his way with her, and he does. And some of these deaths, I got to tell you, if they did
Not
cut
that
anything
way,
out of this
though.
movie,
Not that
they didn't
way,
cut
just-
anything out of the deaths. It's
No.
gruesome. There's some gruesome
Is it?
shit.
Did you throw
to
up,
be
Barry?
seen. In my
Barry
mouth a
was
couple of
looking.
times.
He was looking my way a couple of times while I was
For
like
sure.
just watching. Yeah,
Yeah. So
That happens.
beware of that.
it was
All
also
right,
very
well-
dark, so it was kind of hard to see a lot of what was going on a lot of the time. So because it all takes place at night, so the effects were good, but they were hard to see in a lot of cases.
I'm
That's
gonna
pretty
do-
modern stuff. Really, that's the way it is these days.
Let's do a slight pivot. I'm going to tell you what happened to me, and then we're going to come
Yes.
back, and I want your star rating, and I want your
course.
final summary.
You better have been attacked by a chimp.
No,
on the
this has
weekend.
nothing to do with it. And I'm curious if this
Okay.
has ever happened to you. It happened while I was making dinner. I'm very excited about this. I don't think it's ever happened in my life. I opened a new bottle of ketchup and a new bottle of mustard at the same time. Like, I have never run out of one and I guess the other, and then had to open two new bottles at the same time. They don't work in that kind of exact science to me. Has this ever happened to you? It stuck with me.
No, I mean I'm not a mustard
has.
guy. I'm a ketchup guy, but I'm not a mustard
Wow.
guy. So
Me
that
too.
would
It takes
never
me-
happen to me by default.
Okay.
I
It
don't-
takes me
I
a
don't
long
buy it,
time to
yeah.
get through mustard. So I was
Yeah, no,
shocked.
that's one line versus like a glob of ketchup, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mustard is minimal. I actually
Barry?
that's weird because I just watched a YouTube video a couple days ago about a guy
Thank
that
you.
was trying some mustard. It was like hot, like classic hot mustard. I don't know the name of the mustard, I forget. But he tried a regular version of it that was like quite hot. But then he tried like a mixed powdered version of the same stuff that some YouTube fan of his was like, you got to try the powdered version, man. So he did, and he cooked up some brats and then put the stuff on
Yeah.
it and almost had
Yeah.
his head almost imploded while he ate the mustard.
Ooh.
Ooh,
It was that hot. Yeah.
Wow.
powdered mustard. That's already
That's
a
something.
little sus.
Well,
as the
he
kids
put
say.
water in it and liquefied it and turned it into
Yeah.
liquid
That's what I'm
mustard,
saying.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Usually
enough
buy
of that.
stuff
Anyway, I
prepared.
just had to say it was very exciting for me. We're coming back in. I need to
I
know.
love how you take pleasure in the simple things, Jay.
It really was. It
Yeah.
stuck
Yeah.
with me. I'm excited. All right, let's go to final thoughts and star rating. Rob, what are you taking out of this movie? Why don't you kick us off with your final thoughts?
What am I
and
taking
star
out of
rating?
it? Okay, well, I'm not taking much out of it. I'm basically, to me, it was a very average flick. It was a 2.5 out of 5. It was an average, right down the middle thing. Now, I can understand why other people might find it a little interesting if they've never seen Cujo.
Yeah.
It does follow the pretty basic tropes of horror movies. Hard to make horror out of a chimp, though, in my opinion. It's not really horrific. It's just shitty. It's just a crappy situation. But I don't know. Ultimately, I would say it's a fairly safe horror movie with a little guy or girl and a gal in a chimp costume running around for an hour and a half.
There must have been some CG overlay because some of the
I don't
close-ups of
think
the
so.
face didn't look like a mask at all.
No, it looked
When
like
he's
it was motorized stuff, like old Rick
Really?
Baker style. Yeah,
Well, you have a
mask
better eye for
stuff.
this kind of stuff than I do. For me, I wasn't distracted by the chimp. In fact, I didn't even think it was a little guy in a costume myself, but that's me.
So what were you distracted by? Wayne, what's your final thoughts? And
I
your
was
star
distracted
rating?
by the gruesome deaths that were on
Yeah.
display. Faces getting torn off and fingers being forced into mouths and eyes and pushed and squeezed
Like a
and
bowling
that
ball.
kind of stuff. You
Just
know,
classic chimp stuff, really.
yeah. And I don't know. I think the idea, I mean, chimps are far stronger than human beings. And for one of those to go crazy is probably a little more terrifying than a St. Bernard. You could probably overpower a St. Bernard, even if it was infected with rabies. But a chimp,
Wow.
those things have, they're way stronger than a human. And if they want to rip your face off, and they do, you'd be hard pressed to get past that. So
I do think you could probably kick it in the head or something, though, and that never happened in this movie, really. So,
no, and even a couple of shovels to the head. The shovel got the worst of it. The chimp was fine. So I don't know how that worked, but anyway. But that's interesting, Rob, that you suspect that there was a meteor narrative that was kind of maybe shaved down because maybe the studio was like, no one wants 2 hours of this. They want maybe an hour 30.
Yeah.
yeah, and
That
that
sounds
seems
like
to be
it.
where seems to be where movies are going these days. With this kind of movie seems to be coming in at about an hour and a half, which I think is good.
I
And
think
it
it's
was
good too.
Yeah, and it was enough to kick it off, as you said, with some writing on the screen. Whenever they do that, they've cut out something important. and
Something's happened.
They've
Yeah.
got to summarize
Yeah.
something for you.
Yeah.
Barry,
So what's
your
your
star
score?
rating, and then take us out.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay. Like Rob said, this is not new territory. We've seen it before, but it was entertaining. I found myself entertained the whole time. I would say it's a 3 out of 5. I mean, I wouldn't rush to the theater to see it, but I'd see it. If you're
We're
into it.
less yin and yang on this than we typically are. I would say it's
Yeah.
a 2.5 to 3 at the best.
Yeah.
So
It was not a waste of time. But it was also we didn't come out of there different people. Like it was like, yeah, we've seen this before.
it's
You look
something we
the
went and
same.
saw
You're both the
Magnolia.
same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rob, thank you once again for being here. Always good to have you to give us the rundown on the movies you don't want to miss, or maybe you do, but you see them so that you can bring us the best news. Barry, always a pleasure to see you as always. And to
Thanks,
our
Jay.
listeners and our viewers, Primate, check it out at the local theater, rent it as on demand, or wait till it comes to streaming, but make sure you kind of mostly see it because it's a nice average movie.
That's
Have
right.
a great
put.
night.
See ya.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Two Shot Tuesday. The show is produced by Barry and I and edited by me. If you have yet to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, please take a second to do so now. It helps us grow, and it helps new audiences to find the show. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Two Shot Tuesday, and on Twitter at Two Shot Tuesday Podcast. Stop by, give us a follow, leave us a comment, and share your favorite episodes. If you have a question you'd like featured on the show, you can send us a text at 647-486-4848. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.